Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Fangirlz Assemble. We have assembled. We are here. We are here to talk about Battle Royale, which apparently is much harder to find online than I thought it was.
Oh.
Because I was like, easy. Because even if I couldn't find it, right, I was like, it'll be on something.
Yeah.
I was like, probably it's on Comixology because it's older. Or at least I could buy a Kindle copy or whatever. Or like, worst comes to worst, I borrow from Omar. It is not. So I did read this.
You don't have to say it. You don't have to say it.
I'm sorry, I did. But, you guys know that I don't unless I have to. But that's okay. I did purchase at one point the novel and the movie, which I love.
Mm.
This is different, I think.
I haven't seen the movie.
I still want you to watch it, knowing that there's some things in here that don't happen in that.
Okay, got it.
Because that happened real fast.
Yeah.
And we're going to talk about it.
It did. Yeah, it did. I know what you're talking about.
Whoa, I don't remember this at all. The teacher. Wait, oh, sorry. Wait, you know what? We can't talk about that. Let's talk before we get into like the rough and tumble of Battle Royale, the original Hunger Games. We have to talk about our wonderful sponsor, InStockTrades.com, where you can get your books up to 50% off.
Sometimes more.
And I'll have an order in before we do our hauls and reads.
Yeah.
Because I need to shop for dopamine.
Don't we all? And it's the best place to do it because you're going to get the best deals.
Absolutely.
You got to hit that $50 mark to get free shipping to the States. Come on.
Listen.
I need to place an order too.
Happiness is a bunch of books. Okay?
That's right. Specifically from IST.
Unfortunately, you cannot buy Battle Royale there, but you can buy a lot of manga. There is a manga sale right now.
Yeah,
a lot of check that out.
Yeah.
There's a ton of great stuff. Every time I open it up, there's new stuff I need. It's a problem.
Yeah.
Because I need a lot of manga, but I am going to save a little bit of my manga money, just in case. But man, because Superman versus Meshi, so cheap. I saw it in the wild. Book. Yeah, I'm not going to buy it. At a regular store.
No.
I'm gonna support my friends.
Those are like $5 too.
Yeah, which is
so cheap.
That's such a good deal. Yeah. And it's worth it. I literally, because I have not put it away, is the reason. I think the last 3 videos I've done with Omar, I've just pulled it out. Like, are you gonna read? It's just been right here.
Love that.
Welcome everybody. Oh, well, it's good to see you. Thanks for
Hey, Tyler.
I'm having a Wednesday. I love the Japanese film of this. I used to do, and I'm not as caught up on Japanese films as I used to be, but I used to go to conventions and do panels on must-see Japanese films, so this was always on there for me because I think it's very good. The first one, not the second one. Hello. James, always on it with the emojis.
Nice.
Aria is here. We meet again. So we're talking about Battle Royale. So we read the first 3 volumes. I am somewhat tempted to read the rest.
We'll get to that because I have thoughts about that too.
Because I kind of want to see how it differs from the movie. So the premise of this, people who maybe have not read it or have not seen it, I will say it's very Hunger Games adjacent. But basically, this is something that is created by the Japanese government in this fictionalized timeline, where every year they choose a high school class. It's sort of like a I forget the reasoning. I couldn't read it that well on my phone. But it's like a disciplinary thing, kind of keep people in line. But it's also entertainment. People will bet on it or whatever. But they will choose a high school class, a class of 9th graders. That's like the first year of Japanese high school. And then they think they're going somewhere else. Surprise. You're on a plot of land or like an island, and you all have to kill each other. And if you don't, we will kill you. Someone has to die at least once a day, or we are going to kill you. You've got the collars on, so you can't just get out of it. And it's just randomly done. And it is, if you've seen the movie, because I know I read the novel forever ago. I have no memory of it, so I can't speak to the similarities or not with that. The movie, so Elon's watched the movie. From what I've read of this, and I've seen it 3 times. It's been a while since I've seen it. There are some things in here that were not in that, and that were done differently. Primarily, kind of the way the main character acts anyways, at least like from the beginning, because the beginning he's like, I'm a goofy guy, I play guitar, and I'm like, I'm real silly about it. That's not the deal. They got the same guy who plays Light in the Death Note movies. He's kind of like a more subdued dude. He was very popular at the time. And also the SA, the triggers for this, I did not know. I knew there would be some sexier scenes or like some of that in there, but not to the degree with which we had it in these first 3 volumes. Immediately had it. I will say the teacher of this class, for one, is very creepy. Right at the beginning, as we meet him, he greets the class like, "Hey, I'm your new homeroom teacher." He kills like 3 people. And he apparently has also killed someone else's, like, their original homeroom teacher, and brutally killed and assaulted their, like, I assume killed, the woman who runs the orphanage. That's
what he looks like.
So you're not surprised. I will say that he is very different in the film. He is not like this at all. And he has like a reason for doing this. And maybe that's going to come out. But he is not like this creepy pervert guy.
Very pervert guy.
I mean, just continuously.
Yeah.
Like the things he says to the girls, like it's just, and all the girls are dealt with like that the whole time in these first 3. There's like a couple instances of like, you know, girl killing another girl or whatever, but like if it's a guy and a girl, except for like one instance, right? Well, and like the main character, right? Because they're not gonna do that to her. It happens to everybody else. Like a lot of just like assault or like looking at girls that way or acting that way. And man, it is rough. That's what I wanted to start off with, but I want, in case somebody like listening at home and they're like, they're just gonna talk about it without, I want to go ahead and talk about this first.
Yeah.
Because it is not easy.
Yeah.
So sorry, Kristan.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, I didn't know either. So
we both didn't know. It's rough. I do want to say, because Elon's talking about wishing they reprinted these. They're very out of print. I have the first 3. I've had these sitting on my shelf for years, though.
Yeah.
The first 3 Ultimate editions. The rest are crazy out of print, so I couldn't get them. But I got the individual volumes of the rest. And
disregard what I said. So
I was like, I don't know if you want them, Elon.
So that edition has like the first 3 volumes in it, then?
Yeah. So these are 3-in-1s. They're nice hardcovers.
They look really nice.
Yeah. If I go and finish it, I will be selling it. So if anyone does watch this and they're like, I still want to read it, then okay, let me know. Hit me up.
The story is very interesting.
I will say that it was oddly, as much as it was like horrifically brutal, which I knew would happen.
Yeah.
The essay stuff I didn't know would happen, and that was pretty constant. But I still want to know what happens. Like I did finish it, and I was like,
the story is good. So like, despite this, and this is the only time I'll say this, right? To be fair, 1 time period this came out, 2. Unfortunately, that's probably what's going to happen. Not that you should put it in here as much.
Yeah, but you're right. I mean, when you think about it, you're like,
I wouldn't trust a single man. I would not.
No.
But I mean, it's pretty brutal because they break immediately. Like these students, with the exception of like a core group, immediately lose it. They do not know how to deal with this. And you get a group of people that are naive about it, like the girls at the lighthouse. That was done differently than the movie for sure. Because he actually makes it there and hangs out with them, and there's like 4 girls there. I think they accidentally kill each other. I can't remember. But of them just being like, no, we'll just keep telling people to come to us because they're not going to play the game.
It's like, no, now you're just sitting ducks and someone's going to come and kill you. And that's what happens. Yeah.
Yeah.
It is interesting, like how each person handles the situation differently. And it's like you said, unfortunately, the essay would happen. Absolutely. I mean, these are like teenagers that were just told they're going to die if they don't kill each other. I mean, you're going to have a mental break, probably, like a lot of you, and we see that immediately with one of the nice guys too, who would never hurt a fly. And then he's just like, I feel like I have to,
Yeah, he's like, I have no way. And even after he kind of talks to him now, he's like, hey, I know you were bullied or like people considered you weird, but don't you remember we were friends? And he buys into it for a second. He's like, oh, you're right. I do have friends. I am okay. But then he sees the girl he killed. And he's like, oh, it's too late. I've already started playing the game. I can't go back now. And it's interesting. Yeah, it's so interesting to see how different some people are already like in the killer mindset. No surprise. Because they lean into these like, I would say like manga stereotypes, but also that have like grounding in real life of, you have your delinquent group. That's pretty typical. You have the really, shitty bad girl who like tricks her friends into selling themselves for money, which does happen. That is not an uncommon thing. I mean, I will say it's not very common, but like there have been cases of high schoolers propositioning older men in Japan because of the age of consent is different and because there's creeps everywhere and they're easy play. And so that those things happen, the bullying happens, those things do. So like it's like showing the absolute extremities of these situations. And it's rough. It's rough out there.
Yeah, it is really rough. I will say, if anyone hasn't like read the novel or watched the movie, my head immediately goes to like a more modern day where you're going to get the same kind of brutality being Squid Game.
Yeah.
So if you've watched that, obviously it's different in certain ways and the ages are different.
Yeah.
But I was reminded of that because like you're still like put in this like terrible situation. And they chose it. It's a little different, right? Kind of, but it's still like what, it really makes you like take a step back and be like, okay, what would I do in this situation? Like, I mean, obviously I know I wouldn't I would hope I know I wouldn't lose my mind and,
yeah, because they're not prepped. It's not like the Hunger Games where you're chosen and then you're like coached and everything. Because they build it purely on like the entertainment value, right? And so, like, we want the refined chance, so we have the whole, like, things. We have previous survivors.
Yeah, like, the whole thing's televised. I don't know if we mentioned that.
Yeah, it's all televised. Yeah. And even areas where they don't have cameras are recording. They track where they're going with the necklaces. So they have similar, like, control over the board, I guess, as in Hunger Games. But what the weapon that they get is random. They each pick up a pack as they leave the room. But you don't know what weapon's in there. You can't really prep yourself like you could before. And from the beginning, he shows no remorse, like the teacher. He's just killing people that were out of their seat, a girl that he thought talked too much threw a knife in her head.
Mm-hmm.
To immediately like
three
show
kids immediately. Yeah.
Yeah. And like the main character's best friend growing up, who's supposed to be like his kind of anchor, his innocence. So like they do this thing immediately where they kill his best friend, a fellow orphan. He's like, okay, my innocence is gone. Like everything that I thought I was going to do. What am I supposed to do now? I should protect the girl that he was in love with then. And she's shot in the leg right away. So she's already like, of course we know.
Yeah.
Your main guy and your girl, they're going to make it to the end because that's how this works.
You would think, but like, I feel like there are actually stakes here, because, some books you read and you're like, they're staying the whole time. And I'm like, oh, I would have thought that at least from the beginning with that best friend. And then he's immediately gone, I would think our main character especially will say, but
I will say I cannot fully remember, but I do know the main character made it to the second movie. But the second movie was bad. So I can't.
Also, this is different, like you said, so who knows?
Battle Royale is the better version of Hunger Games. I don't entirely disagree. I mean, I like the Hunger Games, the books. The movies I didn't like as much because I really like the monologue of the character, and you can't do that. And she just looked like she was bored because she's meant to have a monologue.
I still have those sitting on my shelves, and I've not read them. And I've thought about reading them this year. Yeah,
I liked them. I mean, I read them forever ago, so I couldn't tell you.
Sure.
Don't take.
I think it'll be a fun, weird thing to be like. I'm reading that now in 2024.
But I had already seen Battle Royale, so I was one of those pretentious people that was like,
They copied.
Yeah. A modern manga that's similar to this is Alice in Borderland, which is also on Netflix. I would like to read that. That's on Shonen Jump. I've watched the first season of Alice in Borderland. It's pretty good. But yeah, this is what, and like, we can talk about what happens in here because it's like super long. But we also find out that one of the characters in there that looks a lot older. Because he's
so much older. I mean, he was held back, but I'm still like.
I mean, he's like buff.
Well, even like, I mean, I guess this happens in manga, especially like older manga, I feel like. But I'm like, these characters are 14. What do you mean? Like,
I know.
Okay.
And they're in 9th grade. It's not like they're like seniors.
Yeah.
You know? But we see him and we get hints that like he's been through this before. He's like, I'm not going to make it happen the same way again. And then he finally reveals that he is the winner of the previous year. And he just had the worst luck where he ended up in the class that got chosen. He was supposed to be like living high, taken care of. They moved him into like a better area or something. Too bad he got stuck there. So this time he's like, no, I'm just going to help people and we're going to figure out a way out. Because he's like, there is a way out. And so we have this team doing that. We have another team, like a duo, that are trying to figure out how to like hack the necklaces at least to get themselves out that way. And then they've introduced sort of like the big players, at least 2 of them. One is this super, definitely psychotic dude who's very like good looking, very like American Psycho type of deal. Like he leads the delinquents because he's smart, because he's read a book, an anatomy book, so he knows which bones can break. So even though he's not like classically trained delinquent, he can mess people up. And then we have the top mean girl who uses her body and also just like her acting skills to trick girls and guys alike, and then has like a sickle, so she's really cool. And that's kind of our like, besides our like main group, that's our playing field.
Speaking of, okay, the like splash pages between the chapters, guys.
I know,
guys. Just like
it's like 1993 or something.
Yeah, it has to be, right? Like,
no, of course. I always think it's way earlier. The manga ran from 2000 to 2005. Well, it says English publisher. Does that mean when it ran here or there? There's a new one apparently ran in 2022 that's still running. Battle Royale 3 Enforcers.
Oh.
I know there's like a novelization too, but
well, even if it was 2000, that was nearly the 90s. You know,
and you know, a lot of things I read from the year 2000 around.
It's 24 years ago.
Choices were made.
It's 24.
A lot of movies I've watched. I mean, we were talking about the OC.
Yeah,
and let me tell you, a lot in there did not age well.
Well, and even like comic related, like we've seen plenty of that.
I
like
mean,
beloved comics,
The Boys,
Scott Pilgrim. They're dropping R-bombs throughout that whole thing, you know.
Yeah, a lot of F slurs and stuff.
So,
you know, it's
everywhere.
Time. And you know, even more so, like manga. If I had read that at that time, I wouldn't have even thought about it. You know, I would have. But I was taking a lot of anime and manga that I should not have, and that was very exploitative. But man, reading it now because the story is really good, it just feels like they're really leaning into it in a way that the movie definitely corrected somewhat, and so that's why it's more jarring. Because you're like, damn, really?
Like, why did her skirt fly up in that instance? Like, that's not how skirts work.
But, I mean, like I know, because like, yeah, she uses her like wiles for that. But it does suck that like you have your I'm interested in meet like the other girls, because in the 3 volumes it does not look great for them, because it's either like I'm the femme fatale who's using it against people and I'm really cool, or it's like I'm getting assaulted again, or I have like I'm just like naive and dumb, and that's a bummer. And your main girl, she's like, I guess the golden girl, right? And she is being saved because of who she's with. And so I'm interested to see, does this develop? How does this change throughout? Because right now it's not looking great, which sucks.
It does suck. It does suck.
Because listen, I'd be great at it, but that's today's girlies with the podcast. I
was gonna say it's different. Unfortunately, well, I guess fortunately it's different. It's changed for the better. Certainly the depictions, if they wrote this right now, would be far different, right?
Yeah.
And the girls would be stronger. But it's also like, if you think about teenagers at that time.
Oh yeah, well, even teenagers now.
Yeah, and just a random class of kids. Like,
yeah.
I mean, I get it. I'd be weak.
Except you wouldn't have like the big genius guys that are like, I'm really cool, and I would.
Yeah.
But yeah, like imagine like the 13 Reasons Why cast, but they've all been. Which I would pay so much money for to have that cast be in a Hunger Games scenario.
Honestly, yeah.
I crave the perfect show. I want my teen eggs, but I want it with
murder, with a side of murder.
Ooh, I would love it.
Yeah.
They probably won't let you do that because I remember Battle Royale was banned in places as well. In the U.S. So
were they the same age in the movie? Like, were they that young?
Yeah. I'll show you a little. Man, even just seeing the pictures, it's so good. I will say that, like, so the main teacher is a famous actor. He's done a lot of like Yakuza stuff, but I knew him primarily because of this. And so when I would see his face, it is absolutely because of this movie. And he does kill people, and he's tired of their shit because he's like, you're all entitled. You kids say you're all doing this stuff, but he has a reason to go against them. And it's because of a bullying thing that happened to his own daughter or kid or something, or like something that happened to him as a teacher. So he actually does care about things. It's just he's getting revenge on students because of how they were. And he's not creepy about it. He's not like, oh, yeah, give me something to masturbate to, which is what that guy said. So gross.
Yeah, really gross.
She thinks she's calling her dad. Like, it's very different. So our main guy is this guy right here. And then, like, you get the whole thing. But yeah, the novel was banned. Or attempted to be banned. The novel was very good. So I'm curious, like, that's your, like, sexy bad girl. So it's a little bit different of how that all works out. But, like, very cool. I always, I should stop comparing things because I know people get upset. Like when I did Invincible, they were like, stop comparing to the show, but it's so hard not to. When this is like, for me, this is nostalgia.
Sure, yeah.
But like, man, it's still good. That's the thing you have to choose for yourself, I guess. If you want to, like, I would be down to read the rest of it. I think I will, because I'd like to know.
I think I will too. I mean,
the premise is cool.
It has problems, but I want to know what happens.
Yeah.
Ultimately, I think how I felt at the end, I was like, man, like I was originally going to read the 2 volumes, and I was like, oh, there's 3 in here. I'm just going to keep going, and it was easy because I was interested.
Yeah, same. Because I was like, well, because I know you messaged me, and today I was having a day. My dog is at the vet. That's not great. I mean, he's gonna be fine, but I've been upset. And I was like, well, maybe I'll just read the 2. And I was like, okay, actually, this is a good, like, I'm having a good time. I mean, a good time.
Yeah,
great time.
Well, and it's hard
all this
to
problematic stuff and the murder, but I'm getting really into it.
Like, it's one of those things. I'll be like interested to, and then something will happen with like the skirt or something. I'll be like, oh, God. And I'll just roll my eyes and keep going. And it's just like, I don't know. I'm still like, I didn't hate it. I definitely can't say, hey, I hated this. I don't know that I can say, hey, go find all these out of print volumes. I will say, I think they're like pretty easy to find. At least when I got them, they were, and they were cheap.
I feel like it's one of those that you just kind of run into at places.
Yeah, like I got all of mine at half-price books, and not for like inflated prices.
But I remember checking out the book at the high school library or something. But not this, the novel.
I want to check out the novel.
Read again. I think I want to read it again. Like
I would like to read it now.
Man, it makes me. I don't know. It just makes me want to read a lot of stuff from back then and like watch some old movies and stuff. Because the main guy who was in this was in everything after this. Like, it was wild. I don't know if it's like because of this or what, but yeah, I like it a lot. I like the premise. I think it's interesting. And I think that's the reason why Hunger Games is interesting to people. Except for they had the romance plot or whatever. But this one, they were like, no, listen, there's no glamour here. It's terrifying because they're on the bus to a school trip.
Yeah.
You could have just missed the school trip that day. They're all talking about, they're excited. They've got plans. Everyone starts falling asleep.
As you do.
But except for the guy who's done this before. And he's like, shit, not again. He starts beating on the windows. He can't get out. And your parents know, like, this is televised. You know it's a thing that could happen. And if your parents try to rebel or like stop them, they just get killed because it cannot stop.
Or assaulted.
I want to read. I want to reread this and then read the commentary again, because I remember that there's a lot of commentary in here about like just it was the current state of affairs at the time and like censorship, all this thing. There was more to it. There was like everything in here like stood for something.
Yeah, and even like I don't know if this is in what you read too, but the back of this has like an interview with someone. I skipped it because I was like, I don't have time for this. But
I mean, you're getting traumatized at the same time when you're reading. So
with the author, yeah. So Q&A with the author. I assume the author of well, is this the guy who wrote it? Are they crediting him?
There's two different guys. Koshun Takami is the one who wrote the novel. I mean, he's also behind the manga.
Yeah, I was gonna say they credited him. So yeah. I guess
Masayuki Taguchi is just the artist, I guess.
Okay, so yeah, this is with the author of the novel and this, I guess.
Yeah.
So he also wrote this. Interesting.
And it looks like he just kept making more battle royales. Oh wait, no, never mind. So he wrote 3 manga series, yes, but it looks like since Battle Royale, he hasn't written any other like novels, I guess. So he just wrote that, and he was like, "I'm gonna ride in the manga train. We're gonna have 2 live action movies. Bye." And I get it. I see why. Oh man, so good. Yeah, I was waiting. It's like I want to talk to you first before I read it on Goodreads, because I think I might just put it as read.
I did that, and I just wanted to talk to you before. Yeah,
I don't know how to rate it because I have issues with it, but I still really like it.
I feel like I'm just in the middle because of that, right? I feel like
it's hard because I feel like it does a disservice to the story and what's in it and the characters. But man, they really shot themselves in the foot with this. No pun intended, because people are getting shot in the foot.
Right.
Yeah, because I thought that was like, I don't want to rate it yet. And so I think I might just put it as read and just like leave it as that. Because I like it. I recommend it with caveats.
Many caveats, in fact. Yeah. I feel like I'm sitting at 3 right now when I think about it. There are things in it that were 1 to me. I was like, this is not necessary. But I'm still interested. I'm gonna read the rest. I've decided. I'm on a kick of it.
Listen, if you want to choose one of the shows to be that, since you're already reading it, we can do that, because I'll read more. Now that I know where to read it, I had to ask my friends. I was like, where do you read them? I used to know back in the day, but now I'm like, I'm a reformed lady. Like asking for drugs. Like, where do you go?
Where does that happen?
I don't do that.
Yeah, I got you. That's funny. Yeah, totally. We could do more.
At least next show is Peacemaker, right?
I had down Joker, but we can go to Peacemaker.
Oh, Joker. Okay, so
let's go to Peacemaker actually, because I feel like that's maybe gonna be quicker. You know?
Okay.
I'm into that.
That'll be an upper. So
right. There's that too. Yeah.
The next 2 are uppers. Yeah. So that should help.
That is the one thing to be said, is this is not a obviously light read, but
so question for you and the audience and the viewers. They're having these things around the state called nerd nights, and you can apply to them, and you do like a presentation. You do like a whole PowerPoint to the bar or whatever about like a nerdy thing. Now they are like themed per month or whatever, depending if there's like a holiday or something. And I want to apply to do something, but I have no idea what to do it on. And also some of the themes of the months are kind of weird, because they're there's a Pride month, so I could do a Pride related thing. But like the rest of them, there's like a mental health themed thing, zombies, Kentucky fairs, fall themes, spooky themes. And I was like, I could do something, make it like comic book related.
Mm-hmm.
But then I'm like, I was hoping it would be like a weird, like just anything funny thing. But now it's a little more serious now. So now I'm like, okay, what does one do a PowerPoint about? Because these PowerPoint parties, they look really fun. But I always thought they were like goofy shit.
Sure. I'll
Not
think
that
on
I'm looking
that.
for an answer, but I'm just throwing it
Yeah.
out there for everybody.
That sounds fun.
Because I feel like that would be a fun thing to do.
Yeah, for sure. I think we did it.
Okay. I need you to watch the new Love is Blind. Only like the first 4 episodes. And then you can stop. I just want to talk to you about it.
I've thought about going back and just watching all of it.
Just watch this new season because there's a thing in there that was so funny to me.
Okay.
And I just need to talk to you about it.
I will try to watch it.
I think all the couples are pretty boring this year, but there's some funny stuff in the pods.
Yeah, now that I work from home a little bit, like that'll be a nice thing to just put on.
It's a good background. Or just rewatch the OC because now that's my thing. We're talking about the OC. Everybody, you guys, I think you guys ever watched the OC.
Seth Cohen.
Yeah, guys, Seth Cohen talks about actual comic books. They name dropped Bendis and Joss Whedon's X-Men, all this stuff, and I'm like, what is happening? And I absolutely judge what they're reading. Because his like cool delinquent adopted brother basically is reading some of his comic books. So I'm like, no, he wouldn't read that. They got really hyped about Titans for a little bit. And I was like, I don't think he's reading that one. They're reading Legion. That makes sense. But like some of these other ones, like, no, you're not.
No.
You're not reading that.
Love that.
All right. Well, we'll be back on Sunday with Peacemaker.
That's right.
Do you have a show tomorrow?
I do. It's been a bit. So check Mary and I out tomorrow at 7 p.m. Central.
Cool.
It'll be fun. We'll see. And check out InStockTrades.com.
Check them out.
Buy yourself some stuff.
Bye.